Skin graft.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Youth Mystery Garage, episode 198. For those of you that really want to catch the continuation, or this is the continuation of 197.
Totally brand new show.
It is totally brand new show.
We just wore the same thing a week later.
No, basically we're trying to get to show 200, and we had to crank out two in one day, and we stopped in between these, and we spent a half hour talking about show 200 that's going to be live.
It's going to be fun.
At U Specialties down in San Diego, which is our primary sponsor. U Specialties, give it up for U Specialties.
Dude, you are.
And our other,
you and Seacrest are the same.
And our other sponsors, Leader Direct,
Let me take a quick look at
360, Azusa Pacific, and Remedy Line. I know who our sponsors are. Just,
you know what? Your back's to them. I get to look.
You know, Remedy's probably ticked because Mr. T's arm is kind of blocking Remedy Line's.
Well, we've
in my
had
head, I block it.
We've had a little bit of the garage being cleaned and
It's pretty fun.
You know what? Anyway, Doug Fields here with Matt McGill, Katie Edwards, Josh Griffin, and the executive producer on the couch over there is Seth Bartlett. Hey, send us in your questions. If anybody listens to this before the live show, anybody going to be at the live show, we want your questions.
We have a live show. We need to.
It is Friday night.
Friday night.
October 12th.
Ox 12.
In San Diego.
In what room?
California.
In the California room at the
Town and Country.
Sand and Beach Hotel.
From 10 to 11, we've got free T-shirts, we got free pizza, we got
spoiler alert.
Thousands of dollars.
It's gonna be what time does it start? 10 o'clock.
Thousands of dollars of free
just
stuff.
thousands of dollars. We're paying you to be there
with cash.
Yeah,
we got T-shirts.
Make it rain.
We got
It's gonna be
golden
amazing.
grab bag.
Matt McGill bobbleheads. That's not true, but it should be true.
We are having so many things.
It'd be fun to have a podcast bobblehead.
That'd
just
be
for us.
awesome.
I would like that.
What are you laughing over there?
Speaking of bobblehead,
Grab bag. You're just speaking that into existence.
bobblehead made me
Wasn't
think
that
of
from
Mark
Rick?
Munoz, UFC
Yes.
fighter. Made me think of last night on TV. Your buddy Doug Fields was on TV.
No
That
way.
tweet. What was that about?
I was on TV.
What? How did you get on there?
Real TV or like the UFC
True
channels?
TV.
Oh, Matt. No, it was real TV. It was FX.
That's
Fight
real
or
TV.
something.
Did they interview you? What was the hook? What was the
I
angle?
just had a speaking part. My
What?
friend Jake Ellenberger, who was fighting, they were doing kind of a day in the life of, and I ran into him at the restaurant, and I went up and talked to him and the whole bit, and I stopped the TV show where I'm shaking his hand, but he's getting up. So after he fights on Friday night, I'm gonna win or lose. I'm gonna Twitter. The reason he lost was because I
ferocious grip that you have.
you could see him bring him to his knees.
Yeah.
So
you don't think he's gonna win?
No, I think he's gonna win.
What kind of buddy is that?
Win or lose.
He's going to win. He's going to win.
Win or
Twitter
win would be a real friend.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a gag.
It's a gag. It's a
Anything
bit.
for the bit.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't need to think those through.
Hey, if you are in the Detroit area of Michigan, we call that, you are part of a network that is led by Ken Leslie. And Ken, thank you for sending in. Ken's a long-time PDYMer and
He's a dear friend.
Part of our gathering, and I've been asking people to send in
I've had a meal
if
with
you
him.
are if you're in a network.
That's cool.
All right.
So he's in a network. That's it. That's all you're saying.
I'm just
no
collecting.
questions,
I'm
nothing
just
else?
collecting network.
Yeah.
Networks
stuff.
right now. So
Ken.
we have.
Are we going to try and connect the networks?
I just can't tell you right now, man.
Yeah.
Because the way that you talk, you're so loose-lipped. I have
It's
two
called
people.
truth.
I have two people in my life
Nothing
that are
false
loose-lipped.
about him.
Same. Steve Rutenbar, Matt McGill. Same guys. Will just say. Can't tell him
say
anything.
whatever.
I'm excited I wasn't in that list. I
You're not
appreciate
in that list.
That's
You're not in
Speaking of
that.
that,
I
the other
really
day
just
someone told me
assumed.
you can't die on every hill, and I
trust
just
you.
started chuckling again.
I don't
How
get
many
that.
times do you think you've told me you can't die on every hill?
As many times as I've told you you have a problem with authority.
So about a million.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of authority, I think I'm getting a call from one. Oop.
Well, imagine that. Matt playing with his phone during the show. First time.
Ashley Lehman, Millersburg, Pennsylvania.
All right, Ashley.
Fine
Um,
township.
Doug, Katie, Matt, and Josh. Please don't read my name or where I'm from.
Did you
Son of a gun.
See you next
Did
show.
you just read it?
There's no way.
Please don't read.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
In all fairness, second sentence.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
second sentence.
That's
That's
a-
very
in
all
deep
fairness,
in that email.
Prep the show already.
I did prep the show. Look at I even wrote the topic up top.
Oh.
You could
Wow.
just shuffle that in and then come
Hey,
back
you got
to
another
it
one
and,
that's-
and ask the
Here's a
question.
random one from a totally anonymous person.
Yeah, totally.
We'll see what happens,
Yeah.
Katie.
All right, here we go.
This is from our good buddy Jerry Varner, and Jerry is from Virginia. He's the one that
Yeah, he's a regular.
not only is he regular, he brought his kids to the Student Leadership Conference, which I appreciated. He interacts with the Youth Ministry Garage community probably more than anyone. Susie Ralph does a lot as well, but Jerry's really good about that. He says, who are small groups, life groups, growth groups, cell groups? Who are they for? What's been your experience with uninterested non-Christians coming to a small group where the main focus is discipleship?
Well, I mean, one question is why would they keep coming? And so if you're staying true to what you want to do,
You speak up a little bit because I can barely
You
hear
can barely hear me.
Next to you.
Oh,
It's a
you're
grovelly,
getting
like,
old.
sensitive voice. Like,
sensitive.
Maybe we should shut the door.
It would be great if we shut that door.
Yeah, it's hot.
Okay, so whatever it is you're trying to do with your small groups, it would be just because different kids show up than what you're going after. I don't think that means you should change what you're doing. So, for example, if you're doing something that is for believers and it's focused on discipleship, if you have a bunch of, non-believers or non-followers of Christ or however they say it these days, that you don't change what you're doing just because different people. Now, maybe you need to add something else. In a different way, and I don't know what that looks like. You just don't. To give advice like that with not knowing the whole thing is really hard. But the question I had that I started with is why would they still keep coming? And so if they keep coming, then there's something there. And if they're just forced, that's a total drag when they're forced and they have to be there, and mom and dad are just like, disciple my kids because I don't know how to, and they just really take your program takes a hit because of that. So I'd wonder why they keep coming.
Yeah, I would say it's going to be really challenging. If you are discipleship focused and you have kids who don't want to be discipled and grow, that's going to be a very challenging environment. So what if you could come up with a hybrid model where it was still discipleship focused, but the percentage changed a little bit, where it was a little bit more of their life and a little bit more going on with their world, and then introduce some discipleship stuff and just kind of recognize who's in the room and adjust to that, I don't think would be a bad
So
scenario.
you're saying don't radically change the whole program of what you're doing, but try and reach out to them.
Yeah.
Try and come a little bit.
You have students
closer to
going, and I
them.
think if you ignore where they're at spiritually and just march on with your stuff, I think that would be like a fail to me.
So, do you think it's all the kids are coming? 100%?
What's been your experience with uninterested Christians
So
coming
maybe
to a
having
small
a
group
few
where the main
in
focus
your
is
group.
discipleship?
Yeah.
See, I feel like in my small group the last couple of years of 9th graders and 10th graders, not a lot of them said with the idea that I want to be discipled.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I think they came knowing that it was going to be a Bible study
study.
type format, that we're going to talk about their life and how Jesus intersects with their world. But I think if they're forced to go, you got one issue there because they're going to hate it.
Yeah.
But
Not necessarily, though.
it may be very relational for them. I mean, if they're forced to go, even if they have a great experience, they're not going to tell their parents that they had a great experience.
Right.
But a small group, I think I used to believe that you didn't want your small group to be your entry level into your ministry, that it wanted to be the crowd event.
Right.
I'm not sure I agree with that anymore. I think we've seen over the years that a lot of kids have come to a small group,
Totally.
come to a house group, before they would come to a crowd event.
Yep.
But I think,
But you've never said you couldn't do it that way.
No, I'm
You
just
would
saying,
say
just
the way we
ideally,
do it,
yeah,
the way
ideally.
we do it.
Yeah.
I think with any small group, you have to assess who's in the small group. Because I think even having, let's say you have 5 students in the group, all 5 students are not going to be in the exact same place in their spiritual journey or in the discipleship process. So I think, even if you have 5 committed students,
Right.
you're altering, you're personalizing things, you're doing,
Right.
So I think I had a small group a couple years ago where I had 4 non-believers, and 4 like just sold out girls. One of them had invited 3 girls to be in our small group.
And she joined. That's incredible.
And they joined, which was awesome. And you know, I don't think I changed things up drastically, but I definitely met those girls at a little bit of a different place than these girls, you know, and our conversations looked really different, but we still managed to have a great small group time and a great Bible study together. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, they weren't as into the Bible study part, but the small group part and the community. And, you know, 2 of those girls go to HSM and they're plugged in with you and they're in a great place. And so I don't know. I think part of it's just kind of assessing. No students are in the exact same place anyway, so.
Right. And I think there's two other things at least. One, you could quit. You can quit for a while, take a break off
from
for 4
doing small
weeks,
groups.
from 6 weeks. Maybe you stop during the summer, maybe you don't stop during the summer, but you can do a shock to the system that way. Another thing is maybe you're not casting the vision for small groups, you know, or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, and so that could be, you know, maybe it's time to reboot. Hey, now why are we here? What are we trying to do?
Sure.
This is what we're trying to do, and this is really exciting. I mean, I actually think you should do that at least in a small form every week.
Yeah.
You know, at least a few sentences like, so why are we here again? Yeah, we're here to have serious conversations, because if you want to chat about meaningless stuff, you've got Recess and Facebook and text message. So, you know what I mean? I mean, at least a little bit every week, but maybe it's time to do a
kids
full...
having recess.
A lot of kids.
We have a little commitment card. I guess commitment card's the best way to put it. But just kind of like, here are some of the things that we're committing to being a part of this small group. And I show it to parents just so they know, like, hey, being in a small group is kind of a, you know, maybe it's not a next step or even a deeper step, but it's a step towards something, you know. So here's just some of the things we're going to commit to as a group.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of casting vision, you know, is just kind of, this is where we're headed with small groups, and we're all going to be on board with this, you know, type of thing.
And even with that, say, hey, if you don't want to think I'm the purest person, you
We are back. We're back to episode 198.
199.
198 part 2.
Oh my gosh. So we're
Miguel.
talking. All of a sudden, Josh realizes the light's not on, which is Katie's only responsibility.
Only job.
I prep the show. Josh
Barely.
writes the copy of
Done,
the show.
yes.
And Matt doesn't do a very good job at uploading the show, and Katie has one job.
In this case,
I feel-
once again, hardest working youth minister.
One of you two are, and I.
Seth is the closest, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, he's the new kid on the block.
And in all fairness, we all were having basically a heat stroke in here anyhow, so part of it, you know.
Seriously, IQ goes down in the heat stroke.
I have shuffled these, and we can come back to anybody's name.
Anyone, who
now.
knows what's going to happen
All right,
next.
You
so
have shuffled. You have time to actually prep the podcast. Actually,
that's exactly right.
Lord.
So this is from Matt Sasso in Upland, California. Matt says, "Hey, podcast team, keep your eye on the red light. Katie, love the show. Been watching since
I love
200.
that, so.
My question is, what have you done in your years of ministry to keep a passion for ministry? I've been on staff for 8 years in my church, and is the only church I've worked at. I started out as a junior high guy now, but I'm now the pastor for junior high through college. I often struggle with keeping a passion for the next day. I love the ministry, love the students, but just feel like I've been living in a system and I'm exhausted. Would love your thoughts on passion for ministry and longevity." Okay, now you really have to invite him tomorrow.
No, I
Yeah,
love
he's a
him.
good dude.
Speaking
He's
of
such a
teenagers
good
event.
guy.
Okay.
I mean, it's just tough. I mean, this is a situation that I think a lot of long-term. I mean, if you're at a place for more than a year, there's going to be dips in the energy and the excitement, and there's going to be hits to your leadership and decisions you make, and I mean, and it's been a long time, 7 years, right? Is that what 8 years? And so, and then to have that tension of you still love the students, but you don't, necessarily want to get in the car every day and drive to the church. I mean, the thing I think the one thing that I think is really tough, a good place to start with this is to do your best to not feel guilty. I mean, this is a normal thing. It's a natural thing. I think God works in moments like these. I think that you can't feel guilty because this is just part of human nature. If anything, I think that this is evidence of being a leader because you don't love the rut. I think that this is part. You don't like being stuck and going through the motions and doing the same thing over and over again. Caught in the system, I think, is the word that you said. And so, just the fact that you're feeling this is okay, and it's natural and it's normal, and so that would be the first thing I say is try to let go of the guilt.
I would say too, are you getting away by yourself maybe every once in a while, just to kind of, sometimes just getting away and recharging your soul alone, but being really intentional with that, and thinking, just, about your ministry and about your time, definitely spending time with the Lord on your own, but then, really being intentional about just retreating, either by yourself or with someone else, of just, asking yourself tough questions and, refueling, and I don't know.
That's good. I'm just listening today. That was
great.
That was great.
Good.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I want to learn because I feel this way periodically too.
Sure.
And don't feel like I've mastered and to be honest, I think I'm addicted to the high of youth ministry.
Yeah.
And so that makes the lows really low. Like you question everything,
Right,
you want to
right.
quit, you hate something going on, whatever. So
Well, and define what passion is for you, I guess.
Totally.
Like what passion, when was the last time you felt passionate or felt like you had whatever
Right.
that is for you? Because it looks different.
do you think that at some point after 8 years you've earned the right, I don't know if that's the right thing to say, to shape your job description a little bit more as well, or is that just hopeful, naive thinking?
Well,
Like,
let's
if-
look at what he's done.
Yeah.
His job description has been shaped for him.
Right.
Stereotypical youth ministry move. Starts as a junior high person. You last longer than anybody else.
So they promote you.
Keep promoting you.
Yeah.
Now he's over junior high, high school, college. He's spread thin. His passion is diluted because it's hard to be good at everything. Usually people say, you guys have heard my line, somebody says, I oversee junior high, high school, and college. I go, okay, so you don't do anything good.
Right.
Because, that's the reality. You're diluted.
Right.
I wrote something down called the 7-year itch, which I remember when I was writing your first 2 years in youth ministry, I did some reading on that. And people say in ministry, you hit year 6 or year 7, and you just start getting itchy, and maybe something else is out there, and some people can fight through it, and others can't. Maybe you're in that situation, but passion is like the tip of the iceberg. And my question is, what's underneath the iceberg? That day away, that time away, that, Sabbath built into our system and God's DNA. I always think about in youth ministry, we live at that 100, 110%. What would it look like if we did ministry living at 80%? And gave us some margin for reflection and thinking, and none of us at this table do it. Matt, probably closer than any of us, lives at about 50%. But
and 50% of 10% capacity.
I'll take my 50 compared to.
I'll take
Riff's
I'll take your
100.
pre-married.
I'm envious of people who can live at that 80%. To be totally honest, I look at someone who's jogging, and I go, "How do you have time to jog?"
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't do that.
Doritos. I can't
My hands are full with all these donuts.
Yeah,
How do you?
but people would say, "Oh gosh, Josh, how do you have time to blog?
Yeah, that's true.
How do you have time
That's
to
true.
write?
Yeah.
How do you have time to go speak
at a
at
podcast?
the D6 conference or be at a whatever?"
Right. I don't have time to be here today.
We choose.
Thanks for sacrificing.
We choose what's important to us.
Sure.
And for some of us in here, I'm actually writing on this right now. It's the chase. Especially more stereotypical guys.
Yeah.
We chase things, and the chase has a cost to it.
Yeah.
And there's a cost on our body. There's a cost on our soul. There's a cost on our passion. You just can't keep passion when you're racing at the pace that that many of us do in ministry.
So just go back to junior high. And just be junior high.
That's not
So
bad.
easy.
It's
In Josh Griffin's words.
80%.
Well,
Simple.
Totally.
Just
Let's take an example of that. I did that at Saddleback. Remember, I was promoted, quote unquote, to overseeing the whole weekend service. In addition to student ministry, in addition to preaching, I was now in charge of the whole weekend service. So I pulled Matt in, we put this team together, and then 6 months down, going, this sucks.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. I haven't.
But part of it was so many roadblocks too.
Well, there was internal politics
Yeah.
and the whole
Yeah.
bit, but it
Yeah.
wasn't sweet spot. Sometimes you say yes to things that you say yes out of ego or insecurity.
But in that, you said yes out of just supporting the whole
Yeah,
church.
loyalty, too.
Yeah, let me help out.
yeah,
with
but
the
let's take a okay, great. So now I'm the hero because I say yes to loyalty.
Sorry. Yeah.
But you could say, okay, why does Doug need to be so loyal?
Yeah. Seriously.
What's broken
Didn't
in?
give me anything.
What's broken in him?
No.
That
It's still the chase.
There's part of it.
Yeah.
That's what's fueled by insecurity.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, we're not going to land that plane today. So.
Well, what about from Download Youth Ministry? What if we gave them a code to get spiritual ruts
Great.
for free?
Oh, cool.
Great.
Strong
But
bet.
take time to examine what your true sweet spot is. I mean, I think that's part of the learning is just you have a sweet spot, and it might be taking a step to the side of where you are now, or even a step. I mean, you circled back around, when he was student ministries, and you circled back around to high school, and after you had already been student ministries, but you just knew your sweet spot, and so you were fine to circle back around to that, So that's not a bad thing
either. You got to
either.
identify what you love, and I think you have to identify what's draining you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's part of it too.
Totally.
Is what are the things that totally suck, and how do you limit those in your life?
Do you think that there's any chance that he was a pioneer too, and building this thing from the ground up, from the junior high, and now he is the
He needs to
overseer?
go build something else.
And right, isn't there a chance that he is made for the build and not for the sustain? I would say
8 years. That's hard to say that not for the sustain.
Yeah, but this could be a 3-year, oh man, I've built everything. We're rolling. This thing's killing.
Yeah.
And now I'm on top, and I feel like I'm ready to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things that we haven't talked about that happens here at this table, and it's one of the reasons I think people like to participate in viewing or listening, is because they feel like they're sitting in on a staff meeting, and we've all worked together.
Yeah.
And so one of the benefits that we have had in being when you're part of a team, there are days when you can I could walk 10 feet into Josh's office, kick the door open, and go sit on his couch and go, that meeting sucked.
Right.
And you have somebody to download and dialogue with, and maybe a guy like Matt here in Upland, he doesn't have somebody like that. And so
he needs our new network that we're going to start.
every day is a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And so that and that bulb goes a little bit darker each day. I mean, that's one of the benefits. A lot of people they always look at the grass is greener. They look at our spots or situations, and a lot of times when you're part of a team, it's a lot easier. I mean, Josh, you know what it was like in Michigan by yourself.
Yeah. It's brutal.
Slugging it out every single day, where you don't have that person 10 feet away where you plop into their office, or an intern right outside the door, or even somebody to go to lunch with.
Absolutely.
Times it's lonely. I haven't missed not working in the church at all. But I mean, there are times, today I was telling Seth this. I woke up, because I'm traveling seminar tomorrow. I'm traveling on Friday. I'm in crank mode.
Yeah.
And so I sat in my home office from 7 till 1:30 before I even got up. It's lonely.
Yeah.
At times, and the guys are doing that. When you're a relational person, extrovert, you need to be around people, and sometimes just that can sap you. And so it might not even have anything to do with your job. It might have to collectively, you look back in your whole life.
That's good.
It's all about youth ministry. All your friends are volunteers. When you're with your wife, you're doing planning. You don't have a life outside of what is youth ministry. That can suck your passion dry.
For me, I have to disconnect. Like the things that take my my passion. When I get, I don't know. When I have a zapper, an energy zapper. when something like that happens, part of what I need to do, I just need to create separation from the team, from the situation.
Yeah.
And so I'll take a day and I'll go work the whole day out of the office. I'll just I need some time to myself to reset, to reboot, in addition to Sabbath once a week or something like that.
I got to visit another church this weekend, because weekend we're always on go, and I was away, and it was so fun to visit another church. And it was hard not to fall into the temptation of like, comparing and that speaker and this place and whatever. But it was also just really refreshing to not be the person on stage and no one knows. And just walk in totally anonymously. It was awesome. Where in our churches you're known and everyone So that could be refreshing too. Make sure that you
Well, that was part of your story too. When you were back in Michigan,
Absolutely.
you used to go to another church on Sunday nights.
Yeah,
right.
We would sneak away Thursday nights actually, but
and that was part of where you got spiritually refreshed. And
it was a really important thing. And I'm not, we I wouldn't say go join another church, but it was something that really was.
If you're kingdom minded, you could say that.
You were, pastor at one, join another. Even God's like
only Southern Baptists seek the church.
But either way, that was really refreshing. Plus, I think it helps me go inside and go, okay, this is great. Like this is it. We got some good things happening. There are some great stories that a little time to reflect and worship yourself, not yourself, but worship as an individual is very helpful too. So. Anyhow.
It's a tough spot. There's lots of little tips and tricks and the one thing
questions
we didn't
to
say
ask yourself.
Questions. There's the one thing that we didn't say, probably goes without saying, but we ought to say it because it is really the foundational part of it, is that if you're not walking with God in a healthy way right now, then that's got to be a first place to start, because everything else gets out of whack. But,
well, you can do what a lot of youth pastors have done when they lose their passion and their energy and their walk with Christ and all that. They just become a senior pastor, which is certainly an option as well.
Take a demotion.
Yeah, but I think kidding. What I would say to Matt is,
senior pastors.
Matt, both of you that watch that are also youth pastors
that regret,
finding community. We have experienced us guys here, and I know Katie has with women in her life, but we've experienced times where we have, been at Denny's late at night, and before we get working on our download youth ministry projects, we're looking each other in the eyes going, are you doing okay? You seem weary, or that email was short, or you've been away a lot, or we've got people in our life that are asking questions, and you just can't undervalue the power of having somebody who really cares about your heart and your passion, and are you happy, and it's not just about a job. When I was at Saddleback, and you develop friendships with people when you left to go to Mariners, it's like whatever whatever is going to make you happier, that's what you want for people. But so many youth workers are in situations where their pastor is not doing that with them. It is, I'm plugging the hole, I made this hire, and now I'm turning my back, and let's go
figure out the next one,
And you run off adrenaline for 6 months or a year, but after that, then you got to figure out, how do I navigate all this stuff? And it's hard stuff. So
it's true.
Thanks for being a part of our team, everyone.
That was good.
We will see you. We will see you hopefully live at show 200. We're going to do show 199. Is just going to be a very short little it's going to be a garage tour. It's going to be set with the camera.
A great idea.
And we're just going to do like a 3-minute, here's the garage, and that's going to be show 199. So that next week when we're at Youth Specialties,
chintzy to me.
It's very chintzy.
Yeah, but people need to see, because I'm seeing you guys, and I'm also seeing Trash, and
this is the best time.
This is awesome.
The garage is actually clean.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
you're very proud of this garage right now.
Well, now I am.
It's incredible.
You should be.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a big rubber ball over there that.
Somebody needs to stand out on the curb too, where all the delivery, the UPS truck comes.
All right, we're done. You're right.
Street sweeper.
Show 200
Next
real
time
show.
we see you, we will be live.
Send in your questions.
Josh is
Goodbye.